Hello and welcome to Simon Says Artwork. In this video I'm going to be drawing on this cardboard packaging here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up, and the idea is that I'll probably do a painting on it as well. So once I've opened it up like that, I think I'm going to actually get another one and attach it to this one to make it double the length. And then with that I'm going to do a drawing and then even maybe paint an image on here. It's going to be a bit of a political image, and the artwork is going to be based on a statement that the Prime Minister made, and I think it's a horrible statement. He's a horrible person, and I would really like to capture the type of disgusting remark that he made in paint on this packaging here to capture the time and what we're living through at the moment. So all right, let's get started. Okay, so I did start off by, I just used blue tack to put these two pieces of cardboard together, and then I used a black piece of oil pastel to start doing the drawing, just because I wanted it to be a bit more loose and I didn't want anything which was ink. I wanted it to really just be something which I could just scribble across the surface and get the basic shapes. Now, the quote which the Prime Minister used was, "Let the bodies pile high." That was a quote that he made about opening up all of the shops and public transport and all kinds of businesses during the height of the pandemic. And there was a lot of infection and a heck of a lot of death. And you can look up the numbers on Worldometers, and that's the government statistics, so they're probably quite conservative. But that's what inspired me to make this piece. And then once I'd drawn all of the stacks of the bodies piled up there and him on top just grabbing his money and pointing us to go back to work, I thought I will get a small brush and start to use the acrylic paint to get some colour in there. And it was a bit of work to try and get his flesh tone. For some reason he turned out green at first. I think I was going for especially pale and sickly looking, but then I gave him a bit more of a pale pinkish look. And then I just started to work in a purpley suit, colour for his suit, and a red tie, and then some blue tints for the shading on the shirt. And then I thought bits of colours in between this stack of people could be almost randomised, and that's just because it's such a blob of different shapes and limbs and things which you can barely identify. So I thought the more vague it is and abstract, the more people will read into these shapes. And this was intended to just be a sketch, and I want to transcribe this image onto a larger surface, which I will do at some point this year, I can imagine. And I'm going to do it in a different style than this, because this was all quite loose just to keep the energy flowing for the concept. And then when it came to the stack, it was just trying to fill in interesting colours that balanced with each other, where it would suggest lots of different forms stacked up as opposed to reusing the same colours. So I tried to continually mix different hues in order to vary it up enough. And then, as you can see there, I started to apply a lighter tone to several parts of the stack because it was all becoming a dark mid-tone. And part of my thought process when doing this was to start to apply bits of light and shadow as I go, because I didn't want it to seem too much like it was all blending into each other. I did want certain parts to pop out, and there will be a final pass where I add light and shadow, but bits and pieces on the way don't really hurt either. And this was a little bit more of trying to shape the concept as I went along, as opposed to working it out in a sketchbook. I thought I'd work it out on these strips of cardboard. And I don't mind that, actually. I think it's quite nice because the cardboard blue tack together made a long enough strip to actually achieve the bodies piled high for an illustration. And then the mixes of colour showed me what worked and what didn't. And If I were to say what didn't, I would say that I don't think I spent long enough doing a final pass in order to create shape design on top, which is just to say shadow shapes that have angles and cuts into them, which really suggest certain textures and maybe body parts and things like that. And then with some of this, some of it works, some of it doesn't, but probably the best part is there's a chap on the bottom left who's leaning backwards and his tie is draped down his suit. I'm not sure if you can see it there. And he's basically wearing his suit. He's wearing almost a laboratory coat where, there we go, I was painting his face then. He's wearing a cream coloured laboratory coat and a black tie. And that's probably the best pose. And I need to do more expressive angles like that. Whereas everybody else is almost stacked like pancakes where they're just flat on top of each other. I need to start varying the heads into different angles and the limbs where they're strewn across the other parts of the stacks of bodies, just to make it a bit more engaging for the viewer and to suggest a bit more of the real life physics being applied. Now, the final thing that I do on this sketch is to paint black on the outside. Some of it I don't mind, like at the bottom, I think it works here, but I don't think I necessarily should have done it all the way up the top. And that's just because I think that it does detract from some of the brightness of the colour. I'm not sure, I could be wrong. It's just that I don't think I achieved what I was intending to with this look of black around the outside. I think maybe if I would have gone from black to a lighter colour towards the top, I'm not sure. I'll have to give that some more thought before I try to do the piece again. But that's what I do. And at least when I do the black, the thing which I do like about that is that it gives the opportunity to do cutting in. Anyone who doesn't know what cutting in is, it means that you use the outside colour to then shape some of the inside forms. So anything where the shape has gone a little bit too loose and vague, you can use this outside colour to paint over certain parts of it. And that will make it look a little bit more crisp and well designed. And I think that works quite nicely. Then I started to do bits of flames, and I think that was just supposed to represent the hellish environment that Boris Johnson has created. And that was pretty much the sketch done. So I do a bit of a scroll here so that you can see from the top down to the lower part. And there's the lower section. That's where I got up to. Okay, that's the painting done. Now, I did think that it worked out a little bit differently than I'd planned. This is the finished piece, and I think there's parts that I like, but parts that are really messy. My original intention was to actually do this as a sketch and then redo it again on a large piece of, it was kind of paper packaging that you get with parcel delivery. And I've basically flattened out that and emulsioned it. So my original idea was to take this and then to transcribe it onto a larger surface and to paint it maybe a little bit cleaner, because it's a bit messy, it's a bit loose in places, but I do think it's got some charm to it still. It's got some kind of cartoonish, you know, kind of aspects to it which are quite interesting. I think I should have maybe not painted the background black, but who knows, it's kind of, you know, at least it makes it bold and stand out a little bit. This is only a sketch anyway, so I'll probably do another one in the future, but for now, this has been the piece that I wanted to try and do, and I'm glad that I captured it on camera for you. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, comment down below, subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell, and I will see you in the next video.